What apparently happened was that the Iraqi forces just showed no will to fight. They were not outnumbered. In fact, they vastly outnumbered the opposing force, and yet they failed to fight. They withdrew from the site.
It's likely that Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter had his hand slapped just a bit when finished with his comments about the Iraqi military. Then again, all he did was verbalize what most of America and a good part of the world has been thinking lately, that those charged with defending their own country after American blood was spilled on the sand have zero leadership and cannot wait to cut and run. Exactly what we did need to hear on a day when we honor those who gave their time and lives for our safety. The arena doors are open. Let's welcome in columnist for Newsday, New York Times bestselling author, man about the various airwaves, including right here, of course, Ellis Henican, joined by founder and president of the Network of Enlightened Women, the nation's premier organization for conservative university women, Karin, Agness. I thank you both for being here, and a very reflective Memorial Day to you both.
Oh, good to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, good to see you. Ellis, let me start with you here. Wait a minute now. This sounds exactly like what the rest of the world has been thinking. So have Americans. Basically, that the Iraqi military is just a band of cowards. What's wrong with saying it out loud?
Well, listen, let's agree that ISIS is horrible, right? There are all kinds of reasons we do not want ISIS to advance, but I am sick of these Iraqis, right? I mean, all we've done for them, they can't stand up and fight. You know, I got to tell you, I'm ready to wash my hands of them. I think it's terrible that their country is being overrun by these zealots. But you know what? I don't care about it as much as they should care about it, and they don't seem to care about it at all.
Well, Karin, that's exactly what a lot of the veterans are saying, and a lot of people are saying today on Memorial Day. American blood, Allied blood is still in the sands, and these people basically, I had one vet tell me earlier in the day, all they did was leave the keys in the van and basically ran. Maybe it is time that we just got out of there and let them to their own devices.
Here's the thing. We have to remember, and we know this in our country, is freedom is not free. It's expensive. It's fragile. On this Memorial Day, it's important to remember that. And it takes eternal vigilance. And I think that's something the Iraqis are still learning. And sadly, it does appear that some lack the will to fight. But I wonder if one of the contributing factors is that they wonder how much support they have from the Americans going forward under this president.
Well, that's just it. Doesn't it take a slice of bravery, too, here, Karin? I mean, it doesn't make a difference. No matter, even if you don't have great leadership, you should at least want to defend your own home when it's been handed to you. Would you call them cowards?
Oh, and I think the challenge here is, look, we're questioning this from back here in the safe streets of the U.S. I don't want to defend those who are running from the fight. However, I think it is fair for them to question what kind of support they have from America and what kind of staying power we have in the Middle East. It's important for America to play a role there. And I think it's fair for some of the Iraqis to question what the Americans are doing over there.
Well, here's what happened. Here's the Iraqi Prime Minister. Well, hang on one sec, Ellis. I'm going to add to this. Here's the Iraqi Prime Minister saying he's surprised by the comments from Ash Carter. And he says Carter, was very supportive of Iraq. I am sure he was fed with the wrong information. Excuse me just a minute. Wait, let's just look. Wrong information. Let's see. Equipment is to the north. Iraqi fighters are to the south. Where's the information wrong?
Well, poor babies, right? I mean, first of all, what do you mean? How can you possibly say we haven't done enough of these people? I mean, we fought a war there for just about a dozen years, right? We had a huge loss of life. Are we supposed to stay in Iraq forever, 100 years, 1,000 years? You know, and seriously, these people have not earned any more help from us. Show us something and then come back and ask for some help.
All right, Karin, to you. Don't you think they've at least got to show us something? They've at least got to put up a fight.
Well, we are seeing the Kurds who are fighting in a lot of areas. And I think we've just got to keep looking for the brave heroes over there. I know there are some, and supporting them.
All right, let's go ahead and turn. I got about a minute 30 left here. The Patriot Act comes up. Karin, I'll just ask you flat out. Does the government need to be spying on its own people in one way, shape, form, or another to make sure that we are safe?
Look, we're continuing to have this balance in this country between security and liberty. It's a fine balance and often swings depending on, the threats that we're facing. I think Congress does need to act before that June 1st deadline and do something. I don't think just sitting and letting the Patriot Act expire is the right solution.
All right, Ellis, to you.
Here's the reality. In the days after 9/11, we panicked. Now, for understandable reasons, something really bad happened, but we panicked and we sold away some of our most precious rights based on our fears. Thankfully, guys, we're at a point now that we've had a chance to take a breath. And you know what? There's some things we shouldn't do. There's some spying on our people that isn't justified. Let's try and make some reasonable distinctions. I think this dialogue is crucially important, and let's pull it back just a little bit.
All right, Ellis, you do know, though, that if something happens here in the next few years and it comes down to intelligence and people say that, well, if we would have been spying a little bit better, it might have stopped it, you know that's going to bring this all up again.
You know what? There are always people when something bad happens that want to blame our freedoms, but it's part of the price of doing business when you're America. We actually believe in stuff here, and we don't sell them away cheap. We should not ever do that again.
Be careful, though, because everything we're saying right now probably is being recorded and will be used against us at a later time. Hold on, everybody, and we'll be right back, because when we do come back, there are some words that some people are rather not upset about. That's not really the word, but a little bit concerned about, that should never be used with the words Memorial Day. Think about it. When was the last time you wished someone a happy day? We're back on MidPoint. Hi, welcome back to the arena. Best-selling author and New York Newsday columnist Ellis Henican and founder and president of the Network of Enlightened Women, Karin Agness, join us. All right, let's see. Karin, I'm going to start with you on this one. Here is a young lady by the name of Jenny Haskamp in the Washington Post who says that she's a veteran and she hates people who say Happy Memorial Day. I have to agree with her on this one because, quite frankly, I think it's wrong. It's not as if we're trying to hammer people and tell them that it's really a bad thing. It's just something we get used to. But isn't it wrong to say Happy Memorial Day? Isn't it better to say a reflective Memorial Day? Something like that would be better, Karin.
Yeah, I think the veteran who wrote this article, I think she makes a compelling case that too often people are so focused on the barbecues and the pool parties and forget what Memorial Day is really all about, and that is appreciating the families and loved ones of those we lost, remembering our fallen soldiers and our heroes. And it's important that we get that in the forefront again. And so I'm glad this veteran wrote this article.
Ellis, it's a little bit of a slap in the face to some veterans that I know. And matter of fact, one friend of mine has said this to me many times, says, don't say Happy Memorial Day to me. It's like saying I'm happy you're dead.
You know, I hear you, but I'm afraid it's too late, guys. You know, it's the first unofficial day of summer all across America right now. People are having barbecues and, yes, Karin, and pool parties. I'll make you a deal. I won't have any more fun today. And then on Labor Day, let's all get together and have a seminar on organized labor.
No, wait a minute, Ellis. This isn't about not having fun.
No, and then on Christmas, we cannot have any gifts anymore because it's a religious holiday.
Christmas is as far from Jesus' birthday as anything else. It was in the summer, I think, as a matter of fact. Come on, Ellis. This isn't about having fun. This is about people knowing what the day stands for.
Fair enough. Go read up on it. It's
there
very
you go.
important. When I was a kid, they had these bumper stickers on our car that said, keep Christ in your Christmas. That's a wonderful idea. But you know what? These are secular holidays today. It's a reality of life in America. And I think it's phony outrage, frankly, to make too much of it.
Well, I don't think it's outrage, but I think it would be something that would be respectful. Go ahead, Karin.
Yeah, you know, I'm here in Washington, D.C., and it's wonderful to see so many people here go to Arlington Cemetery and place flags and really celebrate our soldiers who have sacrificed everything for this country and for our basic freedom. So I think there are a lot of people who still remember the purpose of Memorial Day, and I salute this veteran who is speaking out and reminding the American people about it. Okay,
there we go. Let's get on a couple of other things here, a little bit lighter, if you will, for the holiday. Art Garfunkel, and by the way, Ellis, I know you'll put your hand up with me. We both remember who Art Garfunkel is. Not sure, you know, Karin, it's one of those generational things. But here's Art Garfunkel. He has taken a shot at Paul Simon, calling him a jerk for splitting the duo at the height of success. Ellis, I said this to somebody on social media. I said, yeah, Art Garfunkel ought to be very happy because without Paul Simon, he would have been working at a Chuck E. Cheese by now with all of his wonderful hit.
Yeah, I always had the sense that Art was the jerk, honestly. And you know what? These are voluntary partnerships. Both people have to want to do it. And sorry, Art, you know, good luck.
I think that, Karin, and I just want to make sure, I mean, you've heard Simon and Garfunkel stuff, obviously, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
Bridge Over Water. I know a few of those songs.
Out of the two of them, wouldn't you say, though, that Art Garfunkel has the least ability to complain at this point because it really seems as if Paul Simon's the guy who carried him for a couple generations?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Every generation has these bands that break up and these epic stories and then the regret years later. My generation, we've got the Spice Girls who've now come together and had the reunion tours.
Oh, scared me there.
Broke up, and now most
no
recently
comparison. No comparison.
One Direction is one of the bandmates left. So, you know, this happens. At some point, I think they've got to get over it and move
My
on.
God, we just put One Direction and the Spice Girls in the same sentence as Simon and Garfunkel. Like
that's an
music
outrage.
aficionados everywhere are having strokes at this point. All right, well,
there's that's something worth being outraged about right there.
now
Absolutely.
that's an outrage. Okay, there you go. 60 seconds left. Karin, Star Wars opened on this day in 1977. Were you old enough to see it back then?
I was not, but I am looking forward to the one being released this December.
Okay, you would not call yourself a Star Wars nerd at this point, though, right? And again, nerd is said, I just want to point this
No.
out so people don't get angry. That's said with all love and honor because, trust me, there's a lot of them out there and they love it, okay? Ellis, I'm curious, were you one of those people that like waited in line to see that very first movie, opening day?
No, but here's the embarrassing thing. I'm old enough to remember Star Trek. Have you heard about that one?
Yeah, well, of course.
Star
I mean,
Trek,
we all have.
you know that one?
But I mean, okay, so here's the better case then, Ellis. Are you a Trekker or a Star Wars guy? Or do you not
Neither
care about
one,
either
seriously.
one?
I am too cool for both of them, is the truth.
Oh, come on, Ellis, the Force and all this stuff, it's great. They just had Star Wars weekends in Orlando at Walt Disney World. It was tens of thousands
Get
of...
a life.
Oh, that is their life, though.
Yeah,
Come on,
get
at
a
least they're
life.
calm. They're dressing like a woman with cinnamon buns in her hair, and everybody's happy after that. Okay. Ellis, and again,
God
Karin,
bless
Agness, thanks so much for joining us. To you both, have a very reflective Memorial Day, if you will, and we'll do it again
Force be
sometime
with
soon.
you.
All right, guys, take care of yourself. Coming up next, the people that make Memorial Day more than just that day about the barbecue and the beaches, because as we mentioned with Ellis and as we talked about here, it's a day to think about what the day really means and who it is really about. We'll do that when we come back right here on MidPoint.